Well, welcome everyone. It is another episode of Inspiring Stories. And today we have an interesting perspective in regards to many people that have faced what we call rock bottom. And Cliff's got some interesting stories to share about that today.
Thank you, April. Yeah, what is it? We're at a time where a lot of people are reaching what I would call rock bottom. Some of the most difficult times that you may experience in your entire life. So I'd like to share with you a couple stories about rock bottoms or in my life. The first story is about my mom, a story my mom told me when I was younger. And that was when she was newly married and she had her first child, my brother Chris, my oldest brother. She My dad was working the job, and she had stepped away from teaching at that moment to help raise my brother and have the baby. And my dad was not making a tremendous amount of money. They were just getting by, living in an apartment, and she had to, get something for dinner. She went through the cupboards, and there was nothing there. There was nothing for food except for a box of brownies. So she mixed up the box of brownies and she put it on the kitchen table to cool. And her little brother, who actually lived downstairs, he came up and saw the plate of brownies and he ate all the brownies. And my mom came in and saw that their dinner was gone. They had no more food and they had no money. And she couldn't get mad at her little brother for doing it. He didn't know, but she just talked about feeling utterly defeated. Just nowhere to go. Didn't know what to do next. So another story about hitting rock bottom in your life was I was working as a sales representative, and I was calling on large banks. And I had this big bank customer who I had worked for a year and a half on, trying to sell them a large piece of machinery. And that machinery was a special piece of machinery that was sort of like the razor and the razor blades. In other words, once I sold them that piece of machinery, all their forms that they had to buy, all their printed communication would have to be bought from me because it was a specialized form that went through that piece of machinery. And in those days, with that particular company, you got paid commission before they received the piece of machinery. You got it when you received the PO. And I did that, and obviously I was sort of the hero of the office, selling this large piece of machinery, getting a really nice paycheck for that. And it was going to be a couple months to produce that piece of machinery and ship it in. Well, during that time, there was a very bad bank crisis during that time in the country. And the bank that I sold the piece of machinery to was taken over by the federal government. And they turned that company over to a regional bank that was bigger, that was more stable than they were. And I received a phone call one day, and it said, the bank said to me, "Your piece of machinery is on our dock, and you need to remove it and take it back. We're not going to purchase this piece of machinery." And I said, "Well, I have a legal PO for this, and they're saying, well, if you don't take it back, we're just never going to do business with you guys again." So I took back the piece of machinery, and my commission check for that month was $2.35. I had nothing. I had babies at home, a wife that was taking care of her children, no other income source whatsoever. And I hit rock bottom. So in these times, in today, a lot of us are hitting rock bottom. A lot of us are facing some of the most difficult circumstances that they will in their life. I can tell you from my mom's experience and my experiences that these are life lessons for us. These are what form us, and they are also what makes life rich. And I know that sounds weird. I just gave you stories about being poor, having nothing, and nowhere to turn and nowhere to go. But I can tell you they become rich. So I'm going to turn it back to April to sort of give you the moral of the story.
And many of our listeners and those that we love to hear from and engage with, they have their own rock bottom stories. They have their own journeys that they've been on that they too have heard, that we often share with our clients. This too shall pass. And it did pass. And they're able to encourage and empower and inspire somebody with the awareness that I've been there. I know I may not know the exact circumstances. I may not be able to walk in your specific shoes. And yet I can remind you that this too shall pass. And we can choose to look at it from another perspective. And so we encourage our listeners to share their stories, share their thoughts. You never know who you're going to inspire. And we thank you for listening to another episode of Inspiring Stories. We'll see you again soon.
Thanks, April.